Am I the butthole for outright refusing to contribute to house bills at my mother-in-law's home? My mother-in-law fell ill last year and basically begged my husband to move us, him, me, and our 4 children into her 6-bedroom farmhouse to help her with bills and her basic needs. I didn't want to do this under any circumstances, but my husband pushed the issue. I felt I had zero say whatsoever, but I have continuously made my distaste known. We moved in November and she signed the deed to the house over to my husband. All the other bills are still in her name: water, heat, electric. I do not work currently. Our youngest is 8 months old and I have been a stay-at-home mom for 6 years now. Our other children are 5-year-old twins and 3-year-old. I have been home since I got pregnant with the twins, as it was a high-risk pregnancy. I do have income, however, doing hobby work. I make and sell customized quilts and make a decent amount of money off of it. My husband is currently paying nearly $2,800 a month here, and I pay for all the food. His mother literally only contributes by cleaning and maybe $400 per month, despite working full-time and making around $4K monthly. She basically says that she's putting all of her money into her retirement fund, which is damn near non-existent. Well, 2 months ago, my mother-in-law started really pushing the fact that she wants me to put my younger children in daycare full-time and get a real job so I can contribute to the remainder of her bills because she feels too weak to work and wants to quit her job. I have refused. For starters, I am not putting my children in daycare. My husband agrees. I also breastfeed the baby. I also made it abundantly clear that I wouldn't be responsible for any of her bills because I didn't want to be here. My husband told me from day one that I would be responsible for nothing outside of food, which I have held up on. So mother-in-law is eating for free and has 90% of her bills paid for by my husband. She doesn't need anything else from us. But last night she started screaming at my husband about how she apparently wanted us to come here so she can retire early, and that the least we could do is pay for everything here since she signed over the house to us, and that I needed to get off my butt and contribute because he shouldn't be made to pay for everything when I am more than capable. I walk in and tell her she had best stop running her mouth about me when I'm not in the room to defend myself, and that I am not putting my children in daycare to make her life more cushy than she already has it. I told her if she wants to retire, then there are plenty of retirement homes, or we could move out and she can pay for 100% of her bills as she was before. But I refuse to do anything more than what I'm doing. My husband told me I should have stayed out of it and let him handle it. But his way of handling it is by saying, "I know, Mom, I get what you're saying," and nothing more. Am I the butthole? Of course you're not the butthole here. Somebody had to tell her, right? Because most likely your husband is not just passive, he doesn't want to offend his mother, but it hurts you and your children most likely, because stressed out mom is not a very good thing for her kids. So I think it's a good thing that you have said that. Maybe now she will get the point across. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I really want to get to 200 subscribers as soon as possible. Am I the butthole for telling my younger siblings I am not their dad and they need to stop acting like I'm their parent? I am 22 and my parents had me at 19, and I was an only child for 6 years. Then they had 3 kids back to back who are now 16, 15 and 14. My parents were never the most attentive parents, but did a better job with my younger siblings than they did with me. But at some point, while my siblings were still really young, they started to come to me like I was an adult instead of mom or dad, and mom and dad let it happen. They were still there, but my siblings would ask me to make them food, or they'd ask me for money. I had none back then. Or they'd want me to help with homework, or they'd come to me if they struggled to do their chores. It got annoying very quickly, and I asked my parents to step in, so I wasn't always saying no or having a sibling throw a tantrum, because I was not acting more like an adult in the house who was there to do stuff for them. My parents were there for the basics, and if my siblings didn't come to me, they'd deal with stuff. But otherwise, they seemed glad to not have to deal with all the parenting. They still weren't as good with me as my siblings either. It was things prioritizing supporting my siblings instead of me, or making a big effort for their birthdays, but not mine. Christmas was another time it was super obvious, because my siblings got gifts they wanted, and I got needed stuff like hygiene products and socks and underwear. I brought it up to my parents when I was 15, and they used to excuse that they had me at 19, so they just didn't know how to connect with me the same, and they didn't have the means to provide for me like they did my siblings. When I learned how to drive and started working, my siblings relying on me got worse. They wanted me to drive them places, give them money. They wanted me to take them to school and pick them up. They would expect me to buy birthday gifts for their friends and take them shopping for that stuff. My youngest sibling even asked me to be a parent chaperone on field trip when I was only 16. It was suffocating, and my siblings could not be spoken to about it. They just wanted me to be the dad. They even called me dad sometimes. I was desperate to get out, and COVID almost effed it up, but I was lucky my girlfriend's family let me move in with them. Once I left, I tried to better enforce my boundaries and created distance, but they still wanted me there, and they'd cried down the phone about me leaving and not being there for stuff. Now that my siblings are teens, I tried to talk to them about it again, but my sister, who is 16, said I had to do these things because I'm supposed to. I asked her why I was supposed to, and she said, because you're basically our dad. My brothers agreed. I admit it pissed me off. And I told them in a firm and angry tone that I am not their dad and they need to stop acting like I'm their parent because I am their sibling. The oldest, sure, but I'm not their parent and I am not responsible for them. They said I was a butt and I should like taking care of them. Am I the butthole? No, not the butthole. And I think all of it is coming from the parents. Because kids do not just get ideas from the universe. Kids just read the room, they understand that parents are passive. Okay, here is the adult brother who will help me. And parents never corrected them and seemed like they did enjoy that you were the father of their children. So I suppose the only thing you could do is maybe to talk to your parents about it again, but I do not believe it would work. Maybe talk to your siblings again, because they seem lonely and maybe they need to understand your point here. Am I the butthole for making a little girl cry at the hospital? I've been in the hospital past few days with my grandmother. She's on life support and isn't looking good. I've gotten probably 6 hours of sleep combined within the last 3 days, so I'm pretty cranky. I have a 4-month-old that I have been avoided taking to the hospital because of germs, but I had to bring her for an hour while my mom came to get her. We stayed in the waiting room because I don't think babies can be in the ICU, plus I wouldn't want her there anyways. A little girl, maybe 2 or 3, was in the waiting room too. It was just my family and hers, and there was about 4 or 5 people in her group and 15 in mine. I know it's a lot, but we thought my grandmother was about to pass any moment at this time. Anyways, this little girl started taking my niece's dolls at first and not giving them back, then screaming her head off and trying to go into the ICU. Her family would just tell her to come back to them, and she would for a moment, then go right back to it. She started crawling on top of my brother-in-law, and he was getting super annoyed. Then she noticed me holding my baby and came to look at her, which I didn't mind. My baby is 4 months now and loves grabbing at toys and chewing on everything. Now this little girl started pulling the toys out of my baby's hands repeatedly, and her mom from across the room just kept saying, "Lana, give it back." But she wasn't listening. This went on for like 5 minutes until she grabbed my baby's hand again and very roughly tried to pull her fingers off from her toy. Babies always have a tight grip on everything, so she started pulling hard. I said loudly and pretty pissed off, "No, this isn't yours, go back to your mom." She started crying a little and ran to her mom, who was obviously pissed off, and she said, "You have no right talking to my daughter this way." And I replied, "If you would watch your kid, I wouldn't have to." And that was that. My family is on my side because it was getting pretty annoying. She also threw one of those hard water balls at my elderly uncle and it hit him in the chest. I feel like I'm in the right, but I have the really bad guilt feeling in my chest for talking to somebody else's kid like that and making them cry. Am I the butthole? And there is an edit. Also forgot to mention that the mom was on her phone the entire time, and who I assume was her parents and husband were sitting there just talking. Okay, I can accept some people calling me the butthole for talking that way to the little girl instead of her mom, but I won't accept my family being called the butthole for 15 of us being at the hospital. At this time, the doctor didn't believe she would make it, and we were getting prepared for her to pass. Before she went into surgery, before she was put on life support, I was the only one there because it wasn't that serious yet. She kept asking who was going to be at the hospital to see her after the surgery and had me call everyone in the family to have them there, as if she knew something was going to go wrong. I really think she just didn't want to be alone, so I'm definitely not going to apologize for having that many people in the waiting room. This waiting room was huge, and it was only my family and the little girl's family there. For everyone asking, my grandmother is miraculously getting better. She woke up some time ago and started pulling at the ventilator and was even conscious earlier. The doctor still doesn't think she'll make it through, but he was wrong when he said she wouldn't make it through the night. I just hope he's wrong again. I think we all are hopeful that your grandma will get better. Because my grandma is now 87 and she had all kinds of health troubles, but she's still here and she's still fighting. And we all know that nanas are superior. As for the butthole, not the butthole situation, I disagree with all my heart with everybody who calls OP the butthole. The babies are so fragile. You cannot pull on their finger, even if you are a very small child. Of course, the child herself is not responsible for her actions. She is very, very young, but she had parents there, literally in the same room. So I say not the butthole, not at the slightest. Am I the butthole for not inviting someone for dinner because she made a big deal out of how she doesn't eat at homes of people who have cats? A while back, I posted a picture on my Instagram stories of my cat sitting next to my counter as I was cooking. On his own stool, he was watching. Again, he was next to my counter, not anywhere near the food. Doesn't go on counters. He doesn't go near the food. My friend Rose reposted it with her own caption, a puke face emoji, "You can't eat everybody's house." I ignored it and went about my business. She's very much the type of person who just regurgitates whatever popular phrase she sees on social media. Pineapple on pizza, monsters. Raisin in cookies are why I have trust issues. I don't trust people who don't like dogs. Hot girl walks, hot girl books, the Lulu. I'm going to hold your hand while I tell you this. Is the ex in the room with us right now, etc, etc. She has other traits that make up for it, but truthfully, I do tend to avoid one-on-one time with her. About a month ago, I hosted a small get-together to show off some La Creuset cookware I obtained. Getting older is weird. I had a whole little shindig with home-prepared food, lots of fun times between pals. I did not invite Rose. She found out after folks posted on their Instagram stories and confronted me over it, saying that I was giving high school mean girl vibes. I told her that she has made it clear she does not eat at homes of people who have cats, so why would I have invited her to a dinner party? She got defensive and said she could have just come and not eaten anything. I said that in the future maybe she should be more careful about what she says, because to me it was very clear. Rose has continued to tell people I'm giving high school mean girl to nurse pipeline, I am an accountant, and all that. Am I really the butthole for not inviting her? Why would she have wanted to come? I think because she's a pick-me girl who wants to be everywhere and desirably the center of everyone's attention. Also, I do not understand the thing with raisins and cookies. What's wrong with it? I love raisins in cookies, especially with white chocolate. Sublime. Is there a trend on hating on raisin cookies that I didn't know of? Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can also watch that awesome video or this awesome playlist. See you next time!